Yeah, so last year we did 1.4 million. The year before that we did 1.7. What people have to understand is I work 4 hours, 5 hours a week in that business. Listen, I'll take 40 to $60,000 passive every month. It is like the most unbelievable cash machine that I've ever been a part of, truly.
The Deal Machine REI podcast. Everything you need to know to get started in real estate investing.
All right, so Brent, tell us in 60 seconds, like, how did you get started into real estate investing and why did you pick wholesaling?
Yeah, wholesaling picked me. Real estate, it picked me. I was given the book Rich Dad Poor Dad in college, my junior year in college, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was getting a business degree to be a businessman. I didn't know what that meant. I had never had a job before. My parents growing up, they had a rule: you either play sports or you get a job after school. You can't just come home and veg out and like just kind of chill and play video games or watch TV or whatever else. So you have to go do something. And so I was decent enough to play sports year round, and then I went to college to play sports, and I was given this book my junior year because I was like, okay, like I'm not like going to be a professional athlete. I'm going to just enjoy my time in college here and then figure it out. I was getting a finance and economic degree, and it was really just kind of priming me to get a job, which it was never something that I was like, oh, I got to go work for this company or that company, or I got to do an internship with this or that. So it was kind of just floating. And I got Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was like, boom, real estate. That's what I want to do. So I got, this is in 2003, right? When you guys were, barely born. And, it was it was a huge turning point. It was one of those things like decisions determine outcomes. And my decision was I'm going to learn as much as I can about real estate investing and get a real estate license. And at the time, it was really you become a real estate agent and then just kind of figure out investing. There were some seminars here and there, but it was outside of, kind of my experience and my price range. So I got a real estate license and became an agent and kind of fell into investing and flipping. And then I found wholesaling in 2013, which was 9 years later after getting my license. It took me a while to figure out what it was because really wholesaling wasn't a thing. It was called bird dogging as I was coming up. You just found deals for other investors and they gave you like $500. And there was like a secret society of wholesalers that didn't really, tell people what they were doing until, in my experience, Tom Kroll came out with the Wholesaling Inc. podcast back in 2015, and that really sparked, I believe, a revolution. And you were talking about, doing the challenge with Max Maxwell, the 30-day driving for dollars challenge. I know that he was first, really pulled into wholesaling from that podcast as well. So the rest is history.
A lot of stuff there. So in 2003, you got the book. You started really wholesaling 9 years later.
Yep.
So tell me, like, what was it like being an agent? Because you weren't just making a living making $500 bird dog deals, right? I mean, that's not enough.
No, I didn't. It wasn't. I thought you had to get a license, get around, really understand how the transactions worked, and then you would just put in offers on market deals that looked like they needed a lot of renovations, and that was the only way that you could really get deals. You couldn't go direct to a property owner. I heard that you could buy properties at foreclosure auctions, but that was a whole different hurdle and challenge. And so I was really
Right, you
just
gotta have
getting
the
a
cash.
license to get access to the MLS. What's that?
Yeah, you've got to have the cash to go to the foreclosure auction. So
Yeah.
you can't do that if you don't have cash.
And I raised that. I was able to actually
You
raise
did.
that after a while.
Okay.
Yeah. I did well as an agent. It was a really hot market, 2004 to 2006, 7, 8. Obviously, did what 2008 did. But I thought that I was a genius. I opened up my own brokerage. I had a bunch of door knockers out there finding interesting investment deals that we would raise funds for and flip But I thought it was just either, you buy and hold it or you buy it and flip it. And I thought there's no in between. And so I got educated in 2013.
Yeah. And
You
I know
know,
your
we
parents played. Go ahead, Ryan.
we it's interesting how many parallels there are in all these conversations that we've done in podcasts. Today we talked to somebody that had very similar, like, was in the sales environment and got tired of getting the haircuts and moved to real estate. When Megan and I first had this conversation of let's get into real estate, the very first thing that we said was, I guess I got to get a realtor's license. That I thought that was the only way in. And then it wasn't, that was like August of 2019. It wasn't until October till I heard the term wholesale, you know? And so the fact that now there are so many ways to get into the wholesale game or into the real estate game through wholesale and not having to be a realtor opens it up to so many people. And it's just interesting to me to see the parallels that you're sitting there saying, well, I got my realtor's license coming out of college, back when David and I were just in diapers. But
11.
it's interesting that it's such a common parallel. People think that it's so much more difficult than it really is, and getting a real estate license versus getting it a wholesale are two very different things and can bring very different opportunities to them. So what did you find, tell me, what did you find easier, being a realtor or doing wholesale deals?
Oh, wholesale all day long. I mean, listen, being a real estate agent, you were applying for the job of helping somebody buy or sell a house every day, sometimes
Yeah.
multiple times a day. It's frustrating because you have no control, right? Even if you do your job perfectly, there's always something that comes up, always something that comes up on the other side of the deal, or somebody didn't leave what they should have left at the property, or somebody wants you to take a haircut on your commission because they want you to pay for a home warranty or do something. There's like just nitpicking all over. Plus, you average, if you look at the stats, and this was my experience, but about 2.7% is what you earn as a commission as an agent. And then that gets sliced up with your brokerage. Well, I earn 10 to 16% on my wholesale deals.
Fast fact.
Wholesaling, for those that don't know, is a strategy where you can make $20,000 doing a week's worth of work in some cases for finding a really great real estate deal and then not even need to close on it yourself, but pass that deal off to somebody like a hedge fund or a house flipper who has cash that would love to close on that amazing real estate deal. And then you just charge them what's called an assignment fee. So you have it under contract and you can assign the contract, meaning that they can take your spot on that contract to buy it at the price that you have it under contract for, and then you can get paid an assignment fee for finding that deal. So let's say if the house is worth $500,000 and you get it under contract for $400,000, you could charge whatever assignment fee you and the flipper or the hedge fund agree on, could be even as big as $50,000. But an average starter assignment fee might be like $5,000, and then average across the country for somebody who's done a few deals, maybe $15,000 or $20,000.
You know what I mean? And I am my own client. So it's not even close. Like if you're
No.
going to start in real estate, the foundation, and you want to be a real estate investor, listen, believe it or not, there's certain people that are like, as a professional in my career, I just want to help people buy and sell houses. I want to be a realtor. Amazing. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about you, Ryan, you, David, myself, that want to be real estate investors and be able to actually build a company where we are our own client. The foundation of that is wholesale. The foundation of that is finding properties that you can buy at a discount. I mean, that's it. And really, the whole business, if we really want to just put an umbrella over the whole business, it comes down to conversations and making offers. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Having quality conversations with distressed property owners or people that represent them and making offers. That's it. You get that down. whatever your exit strategy is, whether you want to fix and flip, whether you want to buy and hold, or whether you want to wholesale, that's all set up in there. That's your choice, but it all comes down, the seed of everything, of every great deal, is conversations and making offers.
And making offers
Brent.
is like the easiest thing.
Yeah,
Like
I
it
mean,
doesn't take. It's nothing to make an offer.
no. I mean, listen, there's a lot of skill in qualifying. There's a lot of skill in finding the deals, because I truly
Sure.
believe that we're deal finders, not deal creators. We're not going to
Right.
convince
Absolutely.
anybody to sell their property. We're not going to convince anybody that to sell their property at 40, 50, 60 cents on what it would sell for if it was totally fixed up. So it's really finding people that want to trade price for speed and convenience. That's all we do.
Hmm.
And that's why DealMachine's so powerful, is because we go out there, we find ugly houses, we get access to the contact information for the people that own these houses, we talk to enough of them, and we get unbelievable deals.
Yep.
It's, I mean, that's just math. You can't screw that up. If you get enough ugly houses and talk to enough of their property owners, and understand if they're ready to sell right now, and pre-qualify them based on the condition of the property, their timeline to sell it, their motivation to sell it, and their price, you are unstoppable. That's why we call it the Rhino Tribe. You're literally like charging towards these deals, and you've got thick skin, and you just stay focused, and you're unstoppable if you just focus on that, build a actual machine that finds you the best deals, and then figure out what you want to do as an exit strategy after that.
It really is the perfect mascot. There's so many parallels. I love that. So oftentimes I feel like, I'm not good enough to go get that deal. Or I feel like people are starting from nothing and they're wondering if they have what it takes to earn $1 million a year wholesaling, right? Like how much do you make on wholesaling, Brent?
Yeah, so last year we did 1.4 million. The year before that we did 1.7. We've gone over a million the last since 2017. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Last 6 years, we've been over a million. And I'll keep 40 to 50% of that. Last year, I kept it closer to 40% of that. But the year before that, it was closer to 50. So I keep a really tight team. And maybe that doesn't sound like crazy, but what people have to understand is I work 4 hours, 5 hours a week in that business. It is
Yeah.
like the most
Crazy.
unbelievable cash machine that I've ever been a part of, truly. When it comes to amount of input in or effort into the amount of return back, it's incredible. And I'll take $40,000 to $60,000 passive every month, every day of the week, and we'll keep building that. We're getting better and better and better, and we're improving and we're growing, and so I like keeping a really tight team. I like having A players. I love paying them really well. I like keeping my marketing costs down by being super proactive, and I like making sure that I set a minimum standard for how much profit I want to bring home every month.
I could live nicely on $50,000 a month passively. That's for sure. I wanted to actually hear you say this, because a lot of people feel like they don't have what it takes or they don't have enough experience. But correct me if I'm wrong, you actually started in the hole with a lease that you didn't end up being able to pay for in 2008, right?
Yeah, so I couldn't.
Like, how did you start doing this from negative?
This is for anybody that is like starting with not a lot of funds. I had a judgment on me in 2008 when I was a young man. I was like stars in my eyes and just electricity coming out of me, and I was like, I am going to build the biggest real estate brokerage and investment brokerage in the lands, and I'm going to I'm going to sign a 10-year office lease with a personal guarantee for 9,000 square foot office here in Scottsdale in January of 2008. Well, October of 2008, the economic world melted, and I couldn't pay for the office lease after like a year of signing that lease. So what happens is they actually sue you. they sue you if you're not able to pay your debts. I don't know if many people know this. So they sued me for the remainder of it. And so I had this judgment where I'd have to go in front of the attorneys every 90 days and show them how much I had in my accounts and any assets and any of that. And they'd play with me. They'd let me live my life, but they'd want any kind of excess funds. So it was a really tough time. And so I was able through wholesaling to get big enough checks to where I was able to hire an attorney to be able to negotiate on my behalf to settle that debt and settled that and finally got it out. Because the interesting thing about a judgment is you can't own real estate. The title companies,
Oh, really?
that's part of their due diligence is they make sure if there's any judgments that
Have to be
that
paid.
are on you personally, those have to be paid off before you can go and buy assets. And so I couldn't own a lot of real estate. So I had to really hone my skills on finding deals, not keeping them, but not being able to own them and flip them. So I was like, what's the in between? What's going on here? And that's when I discovered wholesaling that as soon as you and a property owner sign a purchase agreement, you have something called equitable interest. And equitable interest is an asset. So you can, out of thin air, out of the ether, you can have a conversation with somebody that owns that ugly hoarder house or that ugly vacant house or that house that's burnt down or that empty lot. And you can put that property under contract and you can sell it to somebody else that wants to take that as an opportunity and do something to flip it and hold it or whatever else. And once I figured that out, I was like, this is the cheat code. This is how I get out of this terrible position I put myself in as a young man signing personal guarantees on office lease based on nothing but my own ego and pride.
Were you married at that time?
I was. Yeah, I was.
How
Well,
the heck?
to
How the heck did that affect your family?
well, it quickly escalated to a divorce. I
Oh
mean, it
my
did.
god!
I mean, I say that now. I giggle now. It was awful. I mean, really awful. But things happen for a reason. I wouldn't have met my wife now if that relationship was still around, obviously. But life is great. The things happen, and I learned a lot. And it's one of those things where, and it's just whatever faith and whatever. But sometimes God God delays stuff. You know what I mean? He throws some
Right.
stuff at you so that you don't get it too fast. Because if I would have really done it in my 20s, I don't know. I would be a monster. I would just be a terrible person. And in my own reflection of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
you've gained some humility and some positivity from going through that. What a powerful story, though, of what you can accomplish from a place of a very, very low place. You've helped so many people through your coaching business, TTP, Talk to People, and also now Wholesaling Inc., which congratulations for being able to take over the business that taught you yourself about wholesaling. I can't believe what that would feel like. Most of your students, most of the people who are wanting to do this and find their first deal, do you feel like they're coming from a place of like crawling out of rock bottom, or do you feel like they're just trying to improve their lives?
it depends. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that emotionally from the control that other people or their jobs have over them, they feel like they're at rock bottom. They feel like they're wasting time. Like we only have a certain amount of time that we can be really, really, really productive and earned income. You know what I mean? Produce earned income. That the longer that we wait, the shorter the window is that we can actually go out there and make a huge difference. So I think from that standpoint, I'm sure there's plenty of people that are emotionally at rock bottom in that sense, or professional rock bottom in the sense that they just are dying in the position that they're at. But these are natural entrepreneurs. These are people that, through life's responsibilities have had to go out and provide. And they're looking at wholesaling as the avenue and a path to be able to part time earn some money coming in and then end up going full time. And nobody has done that more than Wholesaling Inc. The Wholesaling Inc. Rhino Tribe has brought more people out of the darkness into the light of being a full-time entrepreneur than anybody else. And that's a huge, we've been doing it 10 years and it's a huge
Yeah.
pride that we have.
On the flip side, I have to ask though, how does that $50,000 passively affect your family now?
It's awesome. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's one of those things that it allows me to do what I've always wanted to do, which is coach and teach. I was always in sports. I was always, as you grow up, and I've had a wonderful relationship with my dad, but then you've got like these coaches that are kind of like, second dads that have really impacted you in ways that my dad wasn't able to through sports and through business and through all these other things that coaches really help you to become. And I always wanted to do that. I saw Robert Kiyosaki on stage, and I would buy all of his DVDs back in the day and all of his booklets, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to be able to share a message and hopefully give people enough confidence that they can go out and make a difference. And I get the ability to do that now. So that money gives me the ability to do that. And the happier you are, the more you bring that home. And now everybody's happy, and it's just it's a fun, loud environment. And so it's been a dream. It's been a dream the last few years for sure.
So you said you were working how many hours a week
In my business
on
now, the
this?
wholesaling.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe 5. And by the way, like an hour of that is our team meeting, which is basically just a kumbaya, hang out, hug each other, great job this week, scoreboard, go check it out type of meeting. But the other 4 hours truly is seeing what other people are doing that's winning right now.
Uh-huh.
And I'm a deal junkie. I mean, I've got
Yeah.
Jeremy texting me and calling me right now, my disposition manager. He just locked up a phenomenal deal. And I'm like all about, they know I get excited about it. So they're like, yeah, just locked up another. Here's the address. And I just start getting into it, and I get real excited, and I think about different things that we can do or different buyers that would want it. But for the most part, they run the show, and they're way more talented than I am in every single role. My sales guys can close way better than I ever could. Jeremy can sell properties for way more than I ever could. Jackie is way more organized than I'd ever be. So I think that's the important thing, is to first do your first deal, get a proof of concept, cross that bridge from faith to fact that you can do this business. Second is to replace your income so that you could fire your boss. And then third is build a team of absolute incredible people that you start firing yourself from certain roles in the business. And when that happens, that's when it gets super exciting. But I still like getting in there and like poking them a little bit and seeing if we can get more
So
out of them.
So you work 5 hours a week because you have a dispositions manager, which is just a fancy word for somebody that takes your wholesale properties you have under contract and then finds a buyer for them, right?
Correct. Yeah. So
Now, if
once we have a deal, they work with the investors to build relationships, and then they sell those properties to the investors.
got it. And I've heard about your buyers in Phoenix. I hear that they come from sometimes Mexico and move multiple families in their house at once. So they'll even pay higher than what what I would pay for it, right? Because they've got a higher use for it.
It just depends. I mean, it depends on the area. Obviously, I mean, there's a hierarchy of buyers. I don't know if it's just coming from Mexico type thing, but if you sell to somebody that's going to live in that property, they're going to pay way more than somebody that's going to flip that property. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
An investor
I
still
do.
needs meat on the bone to be able to, make a profit. But if somebody's
Yes.
going to go and just put some sweat equity into the property to live in, they'll pay more for sure.
So, since you
So
mentioned you work 5 hours a week, I wanted to mention I've seen you guarantee somebody brand new looking for their first deal that if they work 15 hours a week,
Yep.
they're guaranteed to make $100,000 that year.
Yeah,
Do you still
100%.
stand by that?
Yeah, 100%. If you're on the phones, if you're making calls, if you're reaching out to property owners for 15 hours a week and having good quality conversations, it is inevitable that you will make 6 figures. I mean, it's just and that's a starting point. I think that's a low anchor on that, David.
For somebody who's brand new, what makes a quality conversation? What do you mean by that?
So, a few things. Great question, because that's pretty much 90% of this business is your skills on the phone, right? And so, number one thing is you need to find out, have they made the decision they're going to sell this property? Right? Like a
Hmm.
lot of people will say, well, give me an offer, right? Or how much will you give me? Or these type of things. You got to find out, have they made the decision that they're going to sign a document to give ownership to somebody else? All right, that's the first thing. And then from there, it's finding out the 4 pillars. And we touched on it before quickly, but it's the condition of the property, their timeline to sell that property, their motivation to sell it, and the price. Now, let me tell you something. That motivation piece, that problem, that is everything. If there's no
Hmm.
problem there, let them list it with a real estate agent. Let them keep the property. Let them fix it up themselves. Let them put the tenant back in there. Let them do all those things. But if there truly is a problem where they're like, I want to get rid of this property as fast as possible, that's who we're looking for. That's who we do business with. And so in that, so those 4 pillars of pre-qualifying are really the skeleton, the scaffolding of the conversation. And then you get really good with active listening, like you guys are doing now, nodding your head. Sure. Yep. Oh, great. What was that? Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Oh, you have 4 dogs there. Wow. What's their names? Wow. Oh, that's great. 7 turtles.
Are they potty
Oh, that is
trained?
cool. That's more than the Ninja Turtle. Anyway, right. So you start actively listening. You start answering when they ask you a question, you answer the question, and then you respond with a question, and then you confirm and approve everything that they say. You don't build friction into the conversation by telling them they're wrong. You just listen to them, confirm and approve that you're actually listening to them, and just work through the process, the sales process of getting permission to ask questions, making sure that you're understanding what their pain is, and going over what solutions that they've been through to get rid of that pain. And then from there, it's just making your offer. So conversations and offers.
Love it.
Love it.
Where can somebody find your cold calling script?
Wholesalinginc.com. Yeah.
Awesome. Ryan, do you use a cold calling script? What do you do over there in St. Joe?
We don't anymore. I think time has with the script is built in our brains now. Just over the time of doing it, repetition, you just know exactly what you're doing and what you're calling and what you're going to say and what you're going to ask. All of those things they come natural after you do it as many times as we have. Our team is pretty lean too. I was going to ask Brent, what is your team when you say you run a lean team? What does that look like?
Yeah, so the 4 main parts is I have Jackie, who's my lead manager. She's incredible. She's my operator, right? She's going to make sure that everything, the leads are in, they're fresh. She's making sure that all of the tasks that everybody has are being accomplished every single day. I've got a junior acquisition manager, Chad, who is phenomenal. His job is to stay on the phones all day. I've got Ryan, who's the senior acquisition manager, and his job is to be on appointments all day. Right. So
Hmm.
I was trying to do both where I was like, okay, I'm going to have 2 full-time acquisition managers and it's going to be great. They're going to be making calls, setting appointments. It'll be 2 of them. We'll get double the deals. And then I realized it really slows down the ability to do a lot of lead follow-up if somebody's not in office all day. So I
All
have
the
somebody
time.
that's
Yep.
in office all day and somebody that's in the streets all day. And then I have Jeremy, my disposition manager, and he's building the cash buyer database and selling and communicating all the deals and getting it through the finish line. And so that's the
Yep.
4 main parts. I've got a couple cold callers that are phenomenal. I've got a texter that's phenomenal. I've got actually, now, you know what? I'll mention Jesse Champlain. He runs my pay per click, and that's just going bananas. But that's way down the line. Like if you take one thing from this conversation, when you're getting started, do one marketing channel and go deep before you start adding other things, because it just becomes
Yep.
a huge distraction. So I highly suggest you start by being proactive. Highly suggest you start with making a lot of calls, having a lot of conversations, get the ball rolling. And once you have the budget and the infrastructure to be able to handle leads coming in from marketing, then start doing some marketing. But I would start with prospecting for sure. And I would start with DealMachine for sure. And this isn't just a plug because I love you, David, and we've had a relationship for forever. And DealMachine has been phenomenal to the Rhino Tribe. But without a doubt, I mean, if you look industry wide, 80% of new real estate investors get their first deals from driving for dollars. That's a fact. I mean, you could go through all of these interviews. You could go. I mean, this is me coaching over 3,000 people personally that I have their contact cards in my phone that I talk to on a regular basis. It's driving for dollars. It's DealMachine.
Yeah,
I love
this
that
is
you do
not a
that
plug
too.
for me either. But if it wasn't for DealMachine, I wouldn't have gotten the first. It was literally like, let's pretend this podcast has nothing to do with DealMachine. If I did not have access to DealMachine, I would not have gotten anywhere, because it was literally what that was part of the 30-day wholesaling challenge was sign up for DealMachine. That was like the first step, is sign up for DealMachine. From there,
Yeah.
it was going out and driving. And just like uh when we were talking, was it Caleb this morning? I can't remember.
Cody Schaefer.
Cody. So it is the relentlessness of going out there and doing the action steps required to get the first deal. And that's what we're trying to relay to everyone that's, in this beginning phase. What does it take? It takes going out and doing it. And it takes sticking to one form of marketing the entire time until you master it.
Yep.
Because if you just dabble, okay, I'm going to put some here, 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 you're not going to get any traction. Like, you're just going to sit there and do just a little bit. It's going to rain on you just a little bit here and there. But you go out there and you stick to the one form of marketing, you're going to get the results. I wish I would have heard that 15 hours. I wished I would have heard that, because that's
Right.
literally, like, I look back at that 30-day wholesaling challenge and I'm like, it's true. I really did not work that much to get that $8,500 versus
And
I
guys,
spent 40 hours and it just didn't pay off.
the whole reason I made DealMachine was because I was looking for a cash flowing rental. I couldn't find anything. I went to a real estate meetup and they said, you got to drive for dollars. So, I mean, just like you guys, I was told to start the same exact way. And that's how I ended up getting my first deal. Brent, I'm really glad you brought the bell, because I'm going to ask you to ring it just to celebrate getting a free cold call script over at wholesalinginc.com. I know everybody listening is going to want to do that. Any final advice that you'd want to give to somebody who's looking for their first wholesale deal?
Well, let's ring this bell first. But Ryan, how many deals have you done since then in 2019?
We're on the cusp of 400.
Come on,
you could
come
say
on,
you could
come
just say 400. Yeah,
I've been waiting to
amazing.
say 400s for so long because it's going to be a lot easier than saying on the cusp of 400. I think you're at like 392.
It's amazing.
Yeah, we're yeah, it is amazing, and it's been life giving. It's been it's free. It's made you feel so much better than working in a 9-to-5 job, grinding all the time and getting very little in return. You feel like you have no life. There's very little to be grateful for in that environment, and you don't even realize it until you go out and realize how easy it is to make money on your own.
Yep.
Thank
Advice.
you so much, Ryan. Yeah, final advice.
Yeah, number one is you got to find your tribe. You got to find people doing it, or it'll just be kind of a thought that you had that one time, or you'll kind of get started a little bit and then you'll run into some challenges and then you'll stop. So you need to be around people that are doing it and doing it at a high level and a few steps ahead of you, and that are going to encourage you and cheerlead you and support you. So number one, you got to find your tribe. Number two is follow the model. Follow a model that already works. Right? Don't try to reinvent something here. Just follow a model that already works. Now, you can get creative when you get rich, but use a model to get rich first. And then from there, just take massive imperfect action, right? And get that first deal, get that confidence. I don't care if you earn $1 or you earn 100,000 on your first deal. Just the fact that income can be produced out of thin air, out of the ethers. You could pull it out from having a conversation with a property owner or an agent that represents a property owner. That is going to give you that confidence. It's going to put the wind behind your sails. And then from there, it's just stay focused on that one method. Just like Ryan was saying, stay true to that one method, that one process, that one way that you're finding those opportunities until you can replace your income and comfortably do this business full time. And then once you're unleashed full time, I mean, but you become a magnet. You truly become a magnet for people that want and are excited about this change and this person that you are, and how excited and how much real conviction you have for the business that you're building. They're going to want to be a part of it. And then all of a sudden you've wandered into having an incredible business, and your life's changed forever. And it's not just, what we do. It affects everything. It affects people around you, your family, your friends, people that you go to church with, the people that you hang out with on the weekends. They see you doing something special, and it impacts everybody that's in your world, whether they work with you or not. They know that you're doing incredible things. And so you get to really be around amazing people when you become an entrepreneur, and really bet on yourself and take some risk and kick some ass.
Damn, I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much, Brent, for having the Rhino Tribe, having DealMachine be a part of it, and now talking to the DealMachine community directly through this podcast. Really appreciate your time, and I know they're going to get a lot out of it.
Yeah, well, I love that. Listen, DealMachine has made me a lot of money, a lot of money. So thank you, David.
Same.
You're welcome. I'd ring a bell if I had one for you.
Ring a bell for David. Come on.
Yeah. Love it.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.